A night of the high school graduation party, taking advantage of the alcohol. I confessed to the extremely drunk school beauty Emily. I also stole a kiss on her. I thought she had blacked out and lost her memory more than a year later. When playing the truth or dare game at a drinking table, someone asked her when she lost her first kiss. She gave me a resentful look and said, "The night of the high school graduation party." I was stunned. She knew everything. The night of the high school graduation party. I was late because of something when I arrived. I just saw the school heartthrob confessing to Emily. The school heartthrob held flowers, confident yet humble. "Emily, I'm not good at taking the initiative. But I don't want to have any regrets. I like you. Can you be my girlfriend?" The classmates also started screaming and cheering. "Say yes, say yes." The school beauty and the school heartthrob, forever and ever. I was tense and also shouted insincerely, "Say yes." Suddenly, Emily looked in my direction with a gloomy expression. In the end, she rejected the school heartthrob. The classmates all sighed in disappointment. The school heartthrob paused for a moment and showed a forced smile. "It's okay, let us just be friends." Then he casually greeted the classmates again. "Don't make a big fuss, eat and drink as you please." Just now, it seemed as if he wasn't the one who was disappointed. I couldn't help sighing in my heart and admiring his courage and his carefree attitude. I found a corner and sat down. If she doesn't even like the school heartthrob, then who can catch her eye? There were classmates whispering nearby, "Yes, she doesn't even like someone like the school heartthrob." I felt even more inferior. Soon, everyone recovered as usual from this failed confession. Many people started toasting Emily. Emily is a bad-level top student and also the school beauty. She has always been very popular, especially after being recommended to University A. She has become the object of pursuit for everyone. She is also the secret crush of many boys, including me. I hid in the corner and looked at her who was shining brightly. The hand holding the wine glass tightened, and I still didn't dare to step forward. I didn't dare to show my love for her. I drank wine gloomily. After a while, Emily sat down next to me. Surprise and joy quietly climbed into my heart. She closed her eyes and leaned against the sofa, looking very tired. I looked at her affectionately and didn't dare to disturb her too much. Emily was shining brightly, and a group of people also followed and sat down next to her. The dim corner suddenly became lively. Someone started to notice me. "William, are you sure about getting into University B?" When Emily heard this, she also turned to look at me. It seemed that she also wanted to know the answer. Meeting her gaze, my heart beat out of rhythm. "I'm not sure yet." "Don't be modest. If you can't get into University A, you will definitely get into University B." That person was very certain. "Thank you first. I can confirm only after the results are out." I smiled politely after saying that. When I looked back, Emily was still looking at me. I with great effort resisted the irregular throbbing in my chest and unnaturally looked away. After a while, she chuckled. "Didn't you do well in the exam?" I wasn't sure if she was talking to me. I looked back at her and found that she was still looking at me. I was stunned for a moment and then pointed at myself. "Are you talking to me?" She smiled. "Is there anyone else here?" I looked around and found that everyone else had already gathered around the table to play games. Only she and I were sitting in the corner. I was a bit embarrassed. "I did okay in the exam." She frowned tightly. "Didn't you do well in math?" I was very surprised she actually noticed that I was not good at math. I nodded. "Yes." She seemed to be thinking about something and asked again, "How much do you estimate your total score will be?" I said in an uncertain tone, "I should be able to squeeze into University B." She seemed to be relieved, and the tense expression on her face relaxed. "Yes." After a while, she asked again, "Do you have any plans for the summer vacation?" I was a bit confused. She talked a lot today. We usually don't have much communication. I always thought that I was only familiar with her face. "I don't know yet." I smiled again. "Well, I just heard Thomas say that you had something to do. I thought you weren't coming." The light fell on her face. She was bathed in the light and hooked a faint smile, seeing the curve of her mouth. My heart trembled. No, I was just a bit late because of something." I was so nervous that I stuttered after saying that. The two of us looked at each other tacitly, and then both looked away, and naturally there was silence for a while. She spoke. "William." Before she could finish, the class monitor came over. "Emily, Come here, that guy insists on arguing with me. You tell him in person whether I solved that problem correctly. The class monitor directly pulled her away. She looked back at me and went to the table in front with the class monitor. For I sat in my place and sorted out what had just happened. This seemed to be the time we had talked the most in our 3 years of high school. And it was all her initiative. I started to feel elated. Could she like me a little? Then I shook my head and instantly became sober. I couldn't help mocking myself. She was just making small talk. I was being too self-indulgent. Thomas seemed to have drunk a lot. He staggered over and pulled me to Grace. There were only the two of them left at the whole table. He and Grace were having a drinking competition. I consciously joined them. The three of us played and drank until my consciousness began to gradually blur. My mom called. It was too noisy around. I got up swaying and went to the next private room to answer my mom's call. She was just telling me to drink less and go home early. After hanging up my mom's call, I stretched. But accidentally, my hand touched a human face. I was greatly startled by the light of my phone. I saw that it was Emily's face, that was more beautiful than a fairy. She closed her eyes. Her long eyelashes cast a slight shadow in the dim light of the phone. Her fair face, delicate outline, and those rosy lips. My heart started to beat wildly again. I looked at her for a long time. The faster my heart beat, the more I started to confess recklessly, "Emily, I like you. I have liked you for a very long time. Emily, be my girlfriend." "If you don't say anything, I'll take it as your consent. Since you are my girlfriend now, it's not too much for me to kiss you, right?" So I kissed her lips lightly. Emily moved a little. She seemed to wake up. I was so scared that I immediately bounced away. She was saying something, and at the same time, an alarm sounded outside. I didn't hear a word she said. I hurriedly ran out and asked Grace through Thomas to help her out of the next private room. Everyone was in a mess. The waiter came over and explained that someone had accidentally pressed the alarm button. After apologizing and calming everyone down, everyone gradually calmed down. After such a commotion, everyone lost interest in playing anymore and went home respectively. Grace helped Thomas put Emily in the car. Thomas and I also went home respectively. 5 The next day, after waking up with a hangover and remembering my despicable behavior after drinking, I was so annoyed that I kept hitting my head. I opened WeChat and stared at Emily's chat box for a long time, wondering whether to apologize to her. Finally, I decided not to. If she still remembered, I would atone for my sins. If she had forgotten, then I would pretend it never happened. I know this is wrong, but when I'm sober, I don't have the courage to do anything. I was on interwalks for the whole morning. I didn't wait for Emily's questioning. She probably had no memory of that incident. I breathed a sigh of relief and forced myself to calm down. After a while, my cousin called. "Brother, come to XX bar. Pretend to be my boyfriend. If it's successful, I'll pay you 500. Without thinking, I said, "Deal." "You need to dress coolly. This is an extra price." My cousin gritted her teeth. "Plus 300. Come quickly." Received. I specially styled my hair and rushed to the address designated by my cousin. I showed off our affection and drove away her pursuer. I happily went home with 800 yuan while thinking about stealing a kiss from Emily. I spent several uneasy days, fearing that Emily would come to me one day. But half a month passed, and Emily didn't contact me. She really had no memory of this matter. I didn't dare to contact her rashly either. This matter was left unsettled after that. I lived at my aunt's house for the entire summer vacation. Sometimes I pretended to be my cousin's boyfriend. Sometimes I pretended to be my older cousin's boyfriend. I was very busy and made a lot of extra money. 6 On the day the admission notice came down, I learned that both Thomas and I were admitted to University B. The two of us were very excited and made an appointment to go out to celebrate this unbreakable friendship. Just as we arrived at the mall, we met Grace. 2 people became 3 people. We went to eat hot pot together. Grace was even more excited than the two of us. "In the future, I can hang out with you two again. Fortunately, I met you too. How could I not be called when celebrating such a thing?" She got along very well with the two of us. Like Emily, she was a top student and also Emily's good friends. He was also admitted to University A. It was just across a river from University B. No wonder she was excited. I was also very happy. "Sorry, brother. I almost forgot about you." I apologized to her with a grin. "William, sister is a lady who wants to be brothers with you." She glared at me angrily. Understood. Understood. Sister, I was wrong. I cupped my hands. Thomas looked at her and seemed to remember something. Oh, right, why are you shopping alone? Where's top student Lynn? Grace forced a smile. She went to City A. Isn't it still early before school starts? Why did she go so early? Grace became mysterious. There's something I'll only tell you two mustn't spread it around. The two of us nodded and pricked up our ears. Ready to listen to the gossip, Grace cleared her throat. Emily is Lovelorn. She went early to heal her wounds. Lovelorn? Did she fall in love? Thomas and I were surprised and spoke at the same time. Well, oh. That man cheated on her. Grace shook her head and looked helpless. I was shocked and regretful. The person I can't have but love is being wantonly destroyed. I felt a bit sad. Oh, indeed. Life can't be too perfect. Thomas also sighed. She said she has liked that boy for a long time. She is very sad. Grace said again. Is he our classmate? Thomas asked curiously. I pricked up my ears again. I was also very curious. I'm not sure, probably not. Grace shrugged. No wonder she rejected the school heartthrob. It turns out she already had someone in mind. What a pity she met a bad person, remembering her sudden enthusiasm that night at the party. I almost misunderstood now. I felt a wave of loneliness again. The three of them had a little wine after eating and drinking enough. They left. A few days later, Grace went back to her hometown in the countryside for the summer vacation. Thomas also went on a trip. I wandered around this city alone, bored. I went back and forth between my own home, my aunt's home, and my grandma's home several times a day. I almost wore out the doorsteps. Finally, the time for early military training before school started arrived. 7. Grace, Thomas and I all refused to be accompanied by our parents. The three of us went to City A together. After settling down respectively, we made an appointment to have dinner together the next day. Unexpectedly, Emily also came. She had lost a lot of weight. It seemed that she was deeply hurt. I gave her a polite smile. She had a cold face and nodded perfunctorily. My heart trembled. Sure enough, people who are Lovelorn have unpredictable emotions. She was not easy to deal with. She didn't seem to have much appetite. She didn't eat much and didn't talk much either. The whole meal was a bit depressing. Everyone took into account her emotions and didn't dare to talk freely. Somehow, Grace and Thomas started having a drinking competition again. While drinking, Thomas got drunk again. Top student. That man doesn't know how to cherish you. There are many people who cherish you. If not, brother will introduce one to you. The guys I just met today are very handsome. Yes, there are also many handsome guys in our college. Come and have a look tomorrow. Grace also chimed in. The two of them comforted Emily one word at a time. It made me a bit embarrassed. If I didn't comfort her, it didn't seem appropriate. I had to follow suit, if needed. I can introduce myself. She suddenly looked at me and sneered. You introduce? Can it be reliable? I was completely confused and didn't understand what she meant. Grace and Thomas were also full of doubts. She sneered. Then she persuaded Thomas and Grace. Drink less. Don't get drunk and cause trouble for others. I was extremely nervous. I always felt that she was making fun of me. Does she have a memory of that night? The more I thought about it, the more panicked I became. I started to fidget. I didn't know whether to ask or not. It was very tormenting. Who caused trouble for whom? Grace retorted, dissatisfied. Emily didn't answer anymore. She got up to make a phone call, and by the way paid the bill. I heard that her ex-boyfriend's matter is related to getting drunk. Don't think too much about it. Grace comforted the two of us half drunk. So that's it. I breathed a sigh of relief after eating. Thomas and I first sent them back and then left. Before leaving, I thanked Emily. Thanked her for inviting us to dinner. She replied coldly with 2 words. You're welcome. She was so cold to me. I had almost mistakenly thought that she liked me before. It was really ridiculous. 8. In a few days, the harsh military training began. I, who had always been in good physical condition, also had a hard time. Thomas, who couldn't stand the sun, also got darker. Grace was also complaining non-stop. On each of the 3 of them made an appointment to have a meal together again. Considering that Emily treated us last time, this time I wanted to return the favor. So I sent her a WeChat message, but she refused. I felt a bit disappointed. Her dislike was obvious. Even the school heartthrob didn't stand a chance, let alone me. Suddenly curious, what kind of person was the boy she liked? Such a scumbag could still make her so deeply in love. I didn't know what it felt like the unrequited love without results should be let go. I persuaded myself in my heart. I started to avoid Emily. I tried not to go to occasions where she was present. I was afraid that when I saw her again, I couldn't help but be attracted. Then I would only fall deeper and deeper later. I learned from Grace that Emily had come out of it. He was busy participating in various competitions and had no time to think about those things. And I didn't see her again for the entire semester after that when we went home on winter vacation. It was also Grace and Thomas who accompanied me. Emily didn't come with us. According to Grace, she would be 2 days later, 9, after the new year. There were still a few days left in the holiday. I was bored at home seeing the flyer on the coffee table. My eyes lit up. I took a photo and casually posted a moment on WeChat. XX Hot Pot Restaurant offers 50 off for couples. Is there anyone who wants to pair up with this per single dog? In just 2 minutes. The comment section exploded. Thomas, you just love to take advantage of these small bargains. Isn't it good to eat with me without a discount? Grace, shall we pair up? Friend 1, is a guy okay? Friend 2, don't fish anymore. There are no single girls left in this world. I'm tired of fishing. After a while, Emily unexpectedly sent a WeChat message. Emily, when? William, Emily, isn't it about eating hot pot? My heart, which had finally calmed down for almost half a year, started to beat violently again, although I didn't know why she wanted to eat hot pot with me. I was still looking forward to it and couldn't bear to refuse. William, when are you free? Emily. Anytime. I looked at the time. It was already 8:30 p.m. William, how about tomorrow afternoon? Emily, okay. I stared at the chat records excitedly and grinned foolishly. She didn't seem to hate me that much. The coldness during that time might be due to her unstable emotions after a breakup. I started to guess randomly again. And my mood also improved. I hummed a song and prepared to wash up and dressed. My cousin called and asked me to earn some extra money. I was a bit reluctant. She gritted her teeth and raised the price. The reward is 1,000 and if it's successful. She gave so much. I tittied myself up again and rushed there quickly. I easily earned 1,000 yuan thinking that I could have dinner with my goddess again tomorrow. I was overjoyed and almost laughed crazy. I secretly sighed in my heart. After being abandoned by God for many years, he finally remembered me. I held my phone and slept until dawn when I woke up early in the morning. I started changing clothes and styling myself non-stop. Then I deleted and added words in Emily's chat box. After thinking for a long time, I finally sent a simple sentence. Are you awake? So speechless. She deleted me. Yes. She deleted me inexplicably. I was full of question marks. I was both angry and amused, just as nervous and expectant as I was before. Now I was just as disappointed and angry. I couldn't figure out why she played with me like this no matter how hard I thought. At the end, I suddenly felt a bit guilty. Did she remember being kissed by me before and was taking revenge on me? After several days, I finally made it to the start of school. I summoned up my courage and ran to University A next door. I asked Grace to call Emily out for me being played with like this. Even if it was the person I had a crush on, I couldn't swallow this anger. If it was really because I kissed her, and she was taking revenge on me intentionally, then I admitted it. This was indeed my fault. It also made me understand clearly. In the future, I could avoid her. I warned myself in my heart. 10. Grace ran to the gate of University A out of breath. William, what's the rush to find Emily? As long as sister can do it. Sister will help you. You can't help with this. I have to talk to Emily in person. I suppressed my anger. Then you're a step late. She went abroad yesterday and went to a prestigious school as an exchange student for a year of research. I was stunned after a while. I recovered and my anger subsided a lot. I felt an inexplicable reluctance. I walked back like a lost soul. Grace followed me all the way. Chattering, your lost soul look is exactly the same as Emily's a few days ago. Did you to eat the wrong mushrooms? I ignored her. I was very annoyed. Speak up. What's the matter that only Emily can do and I can't help? Nothing. You just said she was lost soul? I was suddenly curious. Well, it is said that she planned to get back together with her ex-boyfriend. But her ex-boyfriend got back together with his ex-girlfriend one step earlier. Damn it. I was even angrier. I became her punching bag again when she was loved. When Once was okay, but being bullied by her like this every time, the more I thought about it, the angrier I became. I angrily kicked the curb by the road Grace, while on the phone, mocked. With this posture, people who don't know would think you and Emily are having a fight after falling in love. I was instantly enraged and yelled, "I'd rather be with a dog than with her. What goddess? Get lost. I don't love her anymore." "Oh, Emily, don't hang up." Grace held the hung-up phone with a helpless look. "So she was calling Emily just now?" I was stunned. "She knocked on my head. Didn't you want to find her? You were so angry. I thought you might have some urgent matter, so I called her as a result. She just picked up the phone and was hung up by your yelling." I took a deep breath. Forget it. I couldn't chase after her abroad to confront her. I kissed her and she played with me. We were even from now on. I'll stay away from her. I warned myself in my heart. Grace followed me all the way to the school gate. I waved at her. "Go back." "I'm going in." "Are you really okay?" She seemed a bit worried. "I'm fine." Go. 11. I was depressed for several days before my mood gradually recovered. I signed up for an English competition and started to get busy. I memorized words and practiced speaking every day. I just dealt with meals casually. One day, Thomas suddenly cut off his curly hair that looked like a bird's nest and came to me with an awkward expression. "William, do I still look like a girl like this?" I closed the book in my hand and was surprised he used to wear sweatpants and a t-shirt and had curly hair. With his fair complexion, he did indeed look a bit like a girl. I was too busy recently and didn't pay much attention to him. This kid cut his curly hair and wore dress pants and a shirt. He was really quite gentlemanly. The situation clearly meant that spring was coming. Very handsome, really. "But why did you suddenly change your style? Who has such great charm? Confess." I put my hands on my chest and smiled wickedly. He stammered, "It's just that Grace always calls me sister. It's very annoying." I could guess his thoughts immediately. "Do you like Grace?" His eyes dodged. "Don't tell her first. You're shy." Don't laugh at me, but William, tell me the truth. Have you ever had a crush on someone? Share your secret love experience. I choked on a mouthful of water and was instantly speechless. I didn't dare to say that I had a crush on Emily. I was afraid that they would laugh at me for being a toad wanting to eat swan meat. "Judging from your expression, you have had one?" he continued to ask. I nodded. "Did you confess?" I shook my head. "I have self-awareness." "So I don't dare." "What self-awareness? I just don't understand you. You are good-looking, have a good family background, and are also good at studying. Why are you always so self-abased?" He looked puzzled. 12. It might be related to that experience in my childhood when I was about 6 or 7 years old. My parents were transferred to work at the grassroots level far from home. My grandma's family hadn't returned to the country at that time. My aunt was busy with business and her 2 children had no one to take care of helplessly. My parents sent me to live with my grandparents. My grandma is my step-grandma. My uncle is her biological son since they have a biological grandson like my cousin. They don't like me. They accepted me because my parents paid a high monthly living expense and more than half a year at their house. I was ridiculed, abused, and denied in various ways. My cousin even got other relatives' children to bully and isolate me. I was often beaten up by a group of them alone. The adults at home didn't stop it. Grandpa even said righteously that it was normal for children to fight. Getting beaten up a few times wouldn't lose a piece of flesh in their family. I suffered unfair treatment every day and became taciturn. Why didn't I tell my parents? Because my step-grandma intimidated me. She said that if my mom didn't trust me to live in her house, she would definitely quit her job and take care of me herself. If only my dad worked. He couldn't support the family at that time. I would have no food to eat, no house to live in, and no books to read. The whole family would become beggars at that time. I was still young, and was scared by her. I was afraid of being on the streets, so I never dared to complain to my parents about any grievances later. My mom discovered my abnormality and guided me to tell the truth that day. My dad got very angry and completely broke off with my grandpa. My aunt was also so angry that she went directly to their house and made a mess. Later, my mom quit her stable job and took care of me full-time at home under my mom's careful care. The trauma in my heart slowly healed. But I still couldn't help lacking confidence after Thomas heard this. He patted my shoulder lightly to comfort me, then he was curious again. So who is the person you have a crush on? I was choked by him again. I paused and fooled him. I'll tell you later. He sat us skeptically and didn't mention it again. 13. One weekend, I received an anonymous package. Inside were many different types of English books, as well as previous year's English competition real questions and reference materials. There was a message on an A4 paper on the cover of the materials. The other party asked me to add as her WeChat. Hash said that Hash had passed TM8 and could practice speaking with me for free. I added without hesitation. One reason was that I wanted to know who the other party was. The second reason was that I really needed a tutor. Free things should not be wasted, but no matter how much I asked, the other party wouldn't tell me who Hash was and just told me to study after being rejected many times. I became numb and didn't bother to ponder over this matter. After getting used to it, we connected audio at 8 p.m. every night on time to start classes. Of course, the other party kept the microphone off. First, we practiced speaking for half an hour. I read and the other party listened. After practicing speaking, I started writing. The other party read what I wrote. Hash was a very serious person. She could accurately pick out even my slightest mistakes. For places where my speaking was incorrect, Hash would carefully cut a short video for me to practice repeatedly. Then Hash thoughtfully drew up a simpler learning plan for me thanks to her patient tutoring and my diligent practice. I finally won the first prize in category C. To show my sincerity, I wanted to ask her out to thank in person, but I was rejected. The other party said that this WeChat was a small account and was rarely logged in. If I needed help, I could leave a message for her, although it was a pity that I couldn't meet my benefactor in person. Since the other party said it was inconvenient, I couldn't disturb too much and had to respect it. 14. Grace and Thomas clamored for me to treat them. I was in a great mood and took them to eat hot pot. When they learned that I had a free good teacher who tutored me silently to win the award, they were both envious and puzzled. Thomas put his chin on his hand and thought for a while. Then said, "Could it be Emily? Her mom studied in the UK before she learned it from her mom. I've heard her speak English. She has a pure British accent." I was stunned for a moment and looked for doubts in my mind. How is it possible? The two of them don't know what feud they have. They hate each other so much that they almost want to strangle each other. Grace's words brought me back to reality. Grace was right. How could it be Emily? Moreover, I received a local express delivery. She was abroad. No matter how hard I thought, I couldn't figure it out. Since the other party didn't want me to disturb, I simply stopped thinking about it. Thomas and Grace also had no progress and still got along as brothers. I had several pursuers. They were all quite good in various aspects, but I didn't have any feelings for them and rejected them all. 15. Another winter vacation arrived. The high school class monitor organized a class reunion. Thomas and I had nothing to do, so we also attended. Everyone had changed a lot, shedding their immaturity and becoming more mature. Their alcohol tolerance had also increased. The classmates who could drink were competing with each other. They were sharing interesting stories after college. Strangely, Thomas didn't come. Didn't Grace say she would attend yesterday? I asked Thomas. Yes, she is waiting for Emily. My heart trembled suddenly, and inexplicably, I had an extra expectation. Look, isn't she here? Thomas raised his chin and pointed at the gate. Then he shouted loudly, Emily and Grace are here. Everyone stood up and warmly welcomed them across the crowd. Emily and I looked at each other. She had become even more beautiful and had a more composed aura. My heart seemed to skip a beat and then started beating rapidly like a drummel, though I wanted to deny it. I had to admit that my attraction to her only increased. Everyone exchanged greetings for a while, and then pulled Emily and Grace to sit down. 16. A group of people started toasting again after a few rounds. They began to play the extremely boring drinking table game Truth or Dare. I was very unlucky in the first round. It was my turn. How many times have you been in love? The person turning the bottle had a mischievous smile. Never been in love, I confessed frankly before everyone could react. Emily chuckled. Everyone looked at her in confusion, and I was also completely confused. I remembered a cold joke and couldn't hold it back. You guys continue. After she said that, she gave me a mocking smile. I was a bit puzzled. After a long time, finally a male classmate stern pointed to Emily. Classmate Nan smiled strangely. Top student. Can I ask 3 questions? Everyone also joined in and urged. Make an exception. She had a faint smile. Okay. The male classmate rubbed his hands and smiled even more wickedly. Then I won't be polite. The first question. When was your first love? Subconsciously, I looked at her and then met her gaze looking back at me. She looked at me for a while and then said, "In high school." Everyone's faces were filled with disbelief. With whom? Knowing that many people are chasing you. I didn't expect you to have been in a relationship. He must be very excellent to make you risk early love. No, he is a scumbag. He cheated on me in less than 24 hours. Emily answered unexpectedly after saying that. She gave me a resentful look again. I was stunned. I always felt that she was targeting me, but it couldn't be me at all. I have never been in a relationship, let alone cheated on her, but I admire the guy who cheated on her in just 24 hours. He is stepping on the hearts of many boys. The classmates all opened their mouths wide and started to defend her. That guy is blind, you deserve better. She smiled and didn't answer. The second question. Are you single now? Yes. The eyes of the male classmates at the table instantly lit up, and their mouths were almost stretched to the back of their ears. The last question. When was your first kiss? In high school. I breathed a sigh of relief. A night of the high school graduation party, she added slowly, enunciating each word. My hand holding the cup trembled. I looked at her in astonishment. She met my gaze with a half smile and a playful look. I was completely stunned. She remembered everything. Remembering my impolite actions and flirtatious words. I wished I could bury myself under the table in this way. The reasons for all her previous grievances towards me also became clear. During that time, she was secretly kissed by me and then heartlessly abandoned by her ex-boyfriend. How depressed she must have been suddenly. I felt a bit sorry for her and had an extra sense of self-blame. 17. The classmates also began to try hard to recall the scene that night. Apparently, everyone had drunk too much and had no memory at all. Next, it was Emily's turn to spin the bottles. He seemed to do it on purpose. With a light movement of her hand, the bottle pointed at me. I hadn't recovered from the embarrassment and self-blame. She said in a low voice. The question is as above. When was your first kiss? I was instantly speechless. Obviously, she did it on purpose. I just said that I had never been in a relationship. Now she asked me when my first kiss was. I was silent for a moment and finally chose to drink. Emily's face darkened obviously after drinking 3 cups in a row. I couldn't take it anymore and ran to the bathroom after washing my face and coming out. I saw Emily standing by the wall in the corridor. She should be a bit drunk. There was a faint blush on her face, like a delicate and charming flower, arousing pity. Even though I was extremely nervous because the matter of secretly kissing her was discovered, it didn't affect my obsession with her beauty. I summoned up my courage and planned to apologize to her. However, because I was too nervous, I tripped over the steps and almost fell. I grabbed her hand by instinct. She smiled, and then supported me. What are you doing again? She wasn't angry and still smiled. Well, I was tripped. I was so nervous that I stuttered. Aren't you drunk this time? She was still smiling. My heart was beating rapidly. I took a deep breath. Emily, I apologize for what happened before. I'm sorry, please forgive me. She looked at me for a while and then became serious. Which thing? It's wrong of me to secretly kiss you. I apologize. I opened my mouth with difficulty. After all, what I did was really not honorable. She looked at me for a while, then she gave a wry smile. It's all in the past. She seemed very disappointed and left in disappointment. I was stunned for a long time. Clearly she had forgiven me, but I felt inexplicably uncomfortable. 18. A few days before the Chinese New Year, Thomas planned to confess to Grace. He asked me to invite Grace out. To set the mood, I asked Grace to dress up beautifully. After simply decorating the private room with Thomas, I was just about to leave. Grace came over holding flowers. Her face was flushed and she looked shy. Thomas and I looked at each other and smiled just as I was about to sigh at their telepathy. Grace walked up to me holding flowers. William, I like you. Confession should be done by you boys. But I also want to be brave. Once be my boyfriend. Thomas and I were both stunned. Thomas, as face was flushed red. Full of regret and annoyance, he tore down the decorated scene and ran away in a panic. Grace then realized what was going on. She was stunned for a while and Mum looked at me again, as if waiting for an answer. I rejected Grace and told her that I already had someone I liked. I also repeated Grace's feelings for her. I didn't have time to wait for her reaction and chase after Thomas. 19. After catching up with Thomas, he gave a wry smile. I've lost all face. Buddy, I really didn't know she liked you. If I had known, I'm sorry. Blame me for being so persistent and doing such a thing. I was also very embarrassed and guilty. Why are you apologizing? I don't like her. And I'm also sorry. I didn't expect things to turn out like this. Actually, it's okay if you really like her. Don't worry about me really, buddy. I'm not that petty. We can still get along as before. He stroked his chin and regained his usual manly appearance. I was speechless because of him. I really only think of Grace as a brother. He didn't believe me at all. Really, don't worry about me before. You said there was someone you had a crush on, is it Grace? I sighed and said firmly, I really don't like Grace. I like Emily. He suddenly burst out laughing. In the past, out of 10 people and no one middle school liked Emily find someone else as an excuse. Seeing that he was so stubborn, I was so angry that I yelled directly. I'm serious. I really like her since high school. I haven't dared to confess because it's her. He was stunned by my yelling after a moment. He looked behind me and started giggling. I felt inexplicable and looked back following his gaze. Wow, Emily was standing 3 meters behind me. I was stunned on the spot and didn't know what to do for a moment. Emily slowly walked up to me and stared up at me. My mouth twitched. I hadn't organized my words in my mind yet. I looked at Thomas for help. He shook his head and ran away. 20 Emily kept staring at me, seeing that I had no intention of speaking. She sighed. I admit it, William, whether you were making fun of me after drinking or using me as a shield, I admit it. I've been avoiding you for so long, but as soon as I see you, I break down. I feel so useless. But I can't do anything about it. She had a helpless look on her face. I was both surprised and happy. I wanted to confirm again. What do you mean? She became serious. I like you, William. This moment had appeared in my dreams many times. Every time I dreamed that Emily confessed to me, I woke up with a smile. I always thought that liking her was my own thing. I didn't expect this love to be reciprocated. I was so excited that I was at a loss and couldn't even believe it. You've been on and off with your ex several times and have tricked me many times. It's time to give me a chance. William. Her words brought back my wandering thoughts. I didn't understand. What? She glanced at me, sighed again, and then gave a wry smile. 2 years ago. You said you wanted to be my boyfriend. I agreed, but the next day, you cheated on me in a bar. Less than 10 days after that, you started dating another person last year. You clearly said you were single. I wanted to take the opportunity of eating hot pot with you to confess to you again, but before the next day came, you got back together with your ex-girlfriend. Others have had several chances. You can't be so unfair this time. You should give me a chance. William, look at me carefully and be my boyfriend. She said a lot with a wronged expression. I was shocked. So the scumbag who cheated on her in less than 24 hours was me? The scumbag who made her lose sleep and appetite was me? My first love was me? So she agreed to my confession that night? 21. I stared at her in a daze and couldn't say a word for a long time. Her face darkened. Don't you agree? I was still in shock and didn't react for a moment, and she seemed to think of something. Her expression was like eating shit. She seemed to be making a difficult decisions. He cleared her throat and then barked twice. I was stunned. What was this operation? She was a bit shy and had a wronged expression. Didn't you say you'd rather be with a dog than with me? I remembered the time when Grace called her. I didn't expect her to remember and do it. I couldn't help laughing. She was anxious. Still don't agree? I directly held her head and kissed her lips. She froze for a moment and then responded passionately after kissing for a while. I let go of her. The smile on my lips couldn't be wiped away no matter what. She put her arms around me, stared at me for a while, and then kissed me again. Domineering and gentle. I felt like I was in a dream. We held hands and walked on the road, telling each other about the torment of secretly loving each other in the past 2 years. Finally, we talked about the mysterious teacher who tutored my English. She didn't seem curious at all, and didn't even bother to ask. I thought of something and then tested. Could it be you? She smiled slightly and snuggled into my arms. Yes. I was shocked again. A sour feeling spread from the bottom of my heart to my eyes. I remembered that many times I asked her questions outside the fixed time, but she always replied instantly. Now comparing the time, it might be 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning on her side. Were you very tired during that time? I felt a bit guilty. It was much better than the torment of not being able to have you. At least I could see your messages. She tightened her hands around my waist. 22. Soon we arrived downstairs at my house unexpectedly. We met my cousins. He was leaning against the car door. Emily also saw her, and her face darkened instantly. William, this time it's less than 2 hours. If you dare to cheat on me again, just try. Her tone was full of warning. I was amused by her. I deliberately ignored her. I directly shouted at my cousin, "What are you doing?" My cousin saw me and walked over, picking up my mom. Then my cousin noticed Emily and looked curious. "Is your mom at my house?" I asked. "Yes." Emily's face became even darker. I cleared my throat. "Don't look for me anymore. I can't do that job anymore." My cousin was incredulous because I was always a money lover. "Why?" I pointed at Emily. "Your sister-in-law doesn't allow it." "Sister-in-law?" Emily and my cousin spoke at the same time. I smiled and nodded. Introducing them to each other, my cousin gave me a thumbs up. She called Emily sister-in-law with a smile. Emily nodded awkwardly, then she pulled me aside and gritted her teeth. "So I mistakenly took my sister-in-law as a rival in love and wasted 2 years?" I couldn't help laughing. "Yes, and the other one is my older cousin there. No way, they pay too much." Emily's face became even darker. "Okay, William, you will pay for this sooner or later." I could only chuckle. 23. Before going to bed, Thomas called. "Did you kiss?" "We kissed as early as 2 years ago." I laughed heartily. "What?" I confessed everything to him after hearing it. He first screamed and then wailed, "You're killing me. Can't you two hold back? You have to get together on the damn Lovelern." I was innocent. "Is it my fault?" He sighed. "It's my fault you to have to treat me to a big meal without my help. You two might stay single until old. You both don't speak up." "Okay, we must treat you. You are our matchmaker." "I'll tell Emily later." "Go away." "I won't eat." "You two lock yourselves up," he yelled angrily. "Are you okay?" I asked a bit worriedly. "I'm fine. I enjoy freedom. Okay. I'm going to sleep. Bye." He hung up the phone. He was usually careless, and it was hard to tell if he was sad. I guessed he should be. After all, he had liked Grace for many years. After the new year, we returned to school. Emily and I invited Grace and Thomas to eat at the dinner table. I casually glanced at Grace. She gave me a glare and said angrily, "It's too late to regret. Sister won't go back. Humph." Her carefree attitude made me laugh. Emily retorted angrily to her, "Don't even think about it." Grace snorted and turned her head. Then she noticed Thomas. He had specially dressed up today, wearing a shirt and dress pants. He was clean and refreshing. He was really quite gentlemanly. Thomas also noticed Grace's gaze. He was very proud. "I won't go back either. Don't disturb me." After saying that, the four of them laughed. Everyone resumed their previous relationship of joking and playing around. 24. Falling in love with Emily. Even the wind is sweet. She is extremely attentive to me. In Grace's words, I have become a giant baby. She knows my taste like the back of her hands. He arranges my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. All I have to do is go to the school gate after class and hold her hands. He decides what to eat and carefully arranges a balanced diet, as completely different from the junk food I used to eat. Thomas watched her pick fish bones for me and was speechless. Damn it, he used to eat instant noodles dry. When did he become so delicate? It's because you didn't take good care of him with me around. It will never happen again. Emily fiddled with the fish unhurriedly. Thomas was so choked that he rolled his eyes. I laughed heartily on the side. Thomas gritted his teeth in anger. "If I eat with you two again tomorrow, I'm a dog." Later, he really seldom made alone with us two again. Emily rented an apartment off campus. I would go there on weekends to have meals. She is a good cook generally. I order the dishes and she cooks. The braised prawns she makes are even more delicious than those made by my mom. She patiently peeled a full plate of prawns for me. I licked my fingers and ate them all up, making her very happy. After the meal, I rushed to wash the dishes, but she wouldn't let me wash. I ate so much and need to move around. I moved her aside. She was too lazy to resist anymore, and looked at me with amusement. "Want to move around? Or you better save your strength." As I was washing the dishes, I glanced at her from her mischievous smile. I instantly understood what she meant, flushed by her teasing. My hand washing the dishes also trembled a little. She chuckled. "Let me wash." Then a pair of hands reached out from behind me, her hot body pressed against my back, and a pair of hands roamed back and forth on my abdomen to my clothes. I couldn't wash the dishes anymore. I turned around and directly kissed her lips. The two of us kissed from the kitchen to the bedroom to burning flames were engulfed in the night. Emily was recommended for postgraduate study at her own school in her junior year under Emily's tutoring. I also got admitted to the graduate school of University A after graduating from graduate school. We both went to our favorite majors after working for a year. We got married. The staff handling the marriage certificate couldn't help being pleasantly surprised. Emily, William, together day and night, a destined fate. We looked at each other and smiled, our eyes full of each other, although we missed 2 years due to misunderstandings. In the end, it's you day and night. Finally, I advise everyone to speak up. Emily's extra story. I discovered that I had a crush on William a long time ago. I didn't dare to confirm it until senior year of high school. I had been observing him all the time and planned to confess when I found any sign that he liked me a little. However, it was all disappointment. It seemed that he had never noticed me, let alone liked me. On the night of the high school graduation party, I was thinking about whether to confess. It didn't matter if he didn't accept. However, when I heard Thomas say that he wouldn't come tonight, I was disappointed and drank a lot. When the school heartthrob confessed, William came. My disappointment also came because he also urged me to be with the school heartthrob. I wasn't willing to give up and sat beside him to get close. Sensing his uneasiness, I felt that he seemed to like me a little. I was about to confess when the class monitor interrupted later. I was forced to drink a lot more. My limbs were numb. I hid in the next private room. After a while, William came in. He confessed to me and kissed me. I accepted his confession and wanted to use all my strength to hug him, but he ran away. In the end, I was really too tired and fell into a deep sleep. When I drank, my body is drunk but my mind is clear. The next day, I was woken up by a phone call. My best friend asked me to go to the bar to rescue her. When I arrived at the bar, I saw William holding someone else and announcing their relationship at the next booth. I was in a slump for a long time. Soon, something even more shocking happened. In just 10 days, he broke up with the last one and announced a new relationship. I was completely disappointed and directly hid in City A one day. When I was scrolling through Moments, I saw William claiming to be a single dog. My mood was inexplicably bright and under the pretext of eating hot pot. I wanted to get close to him. We had clearly made an appointment to eat hot pot the next day. That night, when I went to pick up my cousin with my older cousin, I accidentally saw him getting back together with his ex-girlfriend again. I was completely disheartened and directly deleted his WeChat and agreed to the teacher's arrangement to go abroad. Even abroad, there was no peace. A phone call from Grace let me know how much William hated me. He also said that he would rather be with a dog than with me. I was sad for a long time and decided to ignore him soon. When I learned that he was going to participate in an English competition, my heart softened again. I asked my older cousin to help me sort out materials and send them to him during that time. I was very tired and slept less than 4 hours a day. I was afraid that he would need me suddenly. I admit that I am a love-struck person and a doormat. On the day when Thomas confessed to Grace, I knew that Grace was going to confess to William. Feeling uneasy, I followed but unexpectedly. I learned that William liked me and it had started since high school. This time, whether it was true or not, I just wanted to seize the opportunity. In the end, I learned that the ex-girlfriend and the previous ex-girlfriend were all actresses for his older cousin and younger cousin. I was so angry that my teeth itched. I felt sorry for the 2 lost years. Fortunately, we finally caught each other. Now I am his wife.